Welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast. Jeez, JT, get it together. Season 3, episode 3. Well, we got mocking on the mind because we are having a mock draft tonight. But that's not why we're here. We're here to celebrate Lounis not being here. It's a party. No Lounis today. The boys are back though. I got Jake and Frank with me, and we are into week 2 of preseason. Hard Knocks is going to drop again tonight, second episode. I'm kind of hyped for that, to be honest. But let's kick it off with the preseason performances. Anyone really catch your eyes, guys? Like not. I don't need all the baits.
Fuck preseason.
I don't need fourth quarter touchdowns. Like, did anything actually genuinely catch your eye? Because
nothing caught my eye. It's all bait. Yeah. It's all, look at the Rams' 9th receiver. This guy could make the roster now. Get the fuck out of here. If I see it week 1, then cool. All right. Other than that, fuck it. It's preseason. We don't give a shit.
There is something though that we should definitely care about in preseason, and that was Zach Wilson. Because there was a point in time where, these fantasy football doctors were telling us Zach Wilson definitely tore his ACL, and we're not going to see Zach Wilson this year. That turned out to be completely wrong. So shout out them. But he is going to be out for some time with some bone bruise thing. He need surgery done on his actual knee. He probably will be missing. He's definitely going to miss the rest of preseason, but I'm going to speculate that he's actually going to miss like week 1, maybe week 2, because they were even saying it themselves. They're not going to get him back in until he's ready to go. So I don't know about you guys, but how are we feeling about Zach Wilson at this point?
Honestly, I don't think it really changes my dynasty outlook on Zach Wilson. He's still a guy that I'm not in love with, but I see the potential in him. I think the Jets have done everything in their power to surround him with good weapons. Delaying it till week 3 or 4 of the season to let him get healthy doesn't really change much to me.
It just sucks, right? Like, I as a Zach Wilson manager roster, you just got to be happy that he's only it's like a something, or I don't know what the fuck the medical term is. I'm not going to act like I know what it is, but it's not a torn ACL, a bone bruise, something where he needs a surgery, but it's really not that big of a deal, but it is at the same time. It's like, okay, it's not that serious of an injury, right? Cool. Thank God. Right. But, it still isn't great.
What I wouldn't be happy about is how quickly people turn to be like, yeah, let's just get Jimmy G. Like, he already knows the offense. Like, he's played with Salah and LaFleur before. He could easily fill in. Or the other people that were like, oh no, this is good for the Jets because they could tank and then they could get like Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Like, that wouldn't make me happy if I had Zach Wilson because of how quickly people were ready to just dump Zach Wilson off.
That's just the fans. The fans are going to do that on Twitter. No matter what happens, they're going to take it in the worst way possible. They're going to say, we're going to tank. Oh, we can just go out and get this guy. We can go out and get this guy. It obviously never came from the Jets or from the front office. They believe in Zach Wilson. So,
but do you think,
again, who cares?
I feel like the public is, for the most part, more right than wrong in terms of like who's good and who's not. Do you think the ADP, Bean Counter did his whole, what was it called? Face planners and stuff. Like, the public generally can tell who's good and who's not after seeing them play. My question though is like, if this happened to Mac Jones or Trey Lance or Justin Fields, like, is that same sentiment happening? Like, I don't know.
No, because they don't play in New York. It's just
it's
it's
strictly in New York.
Nature. No, it's New York, it's Boston, it's LA, it's Chicago. It's the same normal ones. We've obviously.
Well, Chicago and Boston are Mac Jones and Justin Fields. Which
Chicago,
I think Chicago they might.
Is so desperate for a quarterback, they might.
Yeah.
Boston Patriots, they've spoiled you. They've spoiled you guys with Tom Brady. and they go straight into Mac Jones, who's not Tom Brady, but he's solid. So I don't know, but more so in New York than anywhere else, but mainly the big markets.
I think the other thing, though, JT, with the face planners is that, and this is kind of besides the point, but to me, the face planners is kind of, you're betting on the more likely outcome, right? Because let's just take first round rookie receivers, for instance. Over half of the first round rookie receivers that are drafted, if they break out in their rookie season, as in breakout is a top 24 year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have that top 24 season as a first round pick rookie receiver, it's like you're kind of just betting on the perceived favorite at that point. And okay, yeah, I think that the face planners thing is good. I'm not saying it's not. Like, I actually do agree with the bean counters, especially when you look at what, he tweeted out, and just more times than not, you're better off selling the guy that face planted for half price than holding the bag and hoping.
I should pause here though, Frank. Because there's definitely people that are watching this who don't know what we're talking about. Like, maybe they're new or everything. Like, a face planner is someone who's considered from their rookie year, their May ADP in their rookie year to their May ADP the following year. If they dropped, I believe the threshold is 12 spots, so a full round down or more, they're considered a face planter. And essentially, you want to avoid those face planters. Like, examples in the past would be the likes of Denzel Mims and Jalen Reagor and N'Keal Harry and players in that regard who were hyped their rookie year, didn't show you essentially anything, and that you should have just pivoted off of instead of going, well, they were a first round pick, they have opportunity, maybe let me buy them at this lower price, because chances are they're more likely to go to zero than they are to go back up. So that's what a face planner is. Sorry.
But I think the other thing too, though, the quarterback position to me is a lot more nuanced. Just because I mean, quarterbacks are fucking weird. There's not really this is the metric I'm going after for quarterbacks, because we've seen so many different guys. Oh, well, this guy's great at running. He doesn't need to be a good throwing quarterback, right? He could just be a subpar throwing quarterback and have a QB1 season, Jalen Hurts. Or, oh, yeah, you look at some of the better quarterbacks that ever played the game. They threw 30 fucking picks the rookie year. Not actually, but they threw a ton of picks. Or, we look at average yards expected over attempts. But there's always these outliers. And to me, the quarterback position is almost built a lot through the outliers, if that makes any sense, right? So I just don't buy it. So I think if you could get Zach Wilson at some sort of discount because of this injury, which I don't think you can now, maybe immediately after the ACL stuff, you could have off the fucking Twitter doctors, which, by the way, aside, I can't believe I bought into the damn Twitter doctor bullshit again. I said earlier in the season, I'm never going to do it. Fuck the Twitter doctors. And then all of a sudden, this injury happens. Everyone's saying Zach Wilson torn ACL. Dude, in our rebuild league, I dropped all our fab on Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
I dropped it all, right? Yeah, 95% of it. I'm like, fuck it, bro. Like, there's no quarterbacks. I can get a QB, like a fringe QB2 for free. Fuck yeah, sign me up. The next day, it's like, well, he's only out for 2 to 4 weeks. Might be able to play week 1. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this?
Yeah. This guy, like, what's his name? Like, David Chow, I think is his name. The injury doc. He was putting, like, the article said, like, Zach Wilson torn ACL, like, tears his ACL.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't even, like, feared to tear ACL or
No,
anything like that. He was just, like, straight up fact he tore his ACL, and then people come back and they're like, no, he didn't.
Yeah. Hey, chat. What's up, Joe?
Yeah, Skull Dynasty, Joe. Cool. What's going on, guys? QBs are highly dependent on stuff that their stats don't capture. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But, man, the QBs are so freaking weird, dude, because, for example, you can have a quarterback that is, like, amazing at getting through his progression, going through reads, all that stuff. but they might just not have the arm talent or the ability to throw off platform or whatever to be a successful NFL quarterback and then in turn be a successful fantasy quarterback. So honestly, like I kind of agree with JT when unless I really like a quarterback, if they don't get the draft capital, why the hell am I paying a premium for them? Maybe if I'm getting really good rushing upside discounted. But other than that, it's like, why the hell am I going to spend high amounts of value on getting a quarterback that doesn't have top 15 draft capital? Those are the ones that not only succeed, if they don't initially succeed, are the ones that can also turn it around.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll move us along to James White retiring. Sad to see, hip injury, not enough to come back from, competitive depth chart. I personally liked him, but like once I saw he wasn't going to be ready for training camp and everything, I did have concerns about what James White was going to end up being and what his role in this offense was going to end up being. And the drafting of 2 running backs should have also signaled that.
Yeah, our pod kind of took an L on that, though, because I feel like a lot of us were higher than consensus on James White.
Yeah, I probably had an underrated for him on...
yeah, I think we all had an underrated tag on James White in our over-unders, but, you know, shout out the boy. He had a lot of good fantasy relevant seasons.
So the question I had about James White, because I've seen multiple conflicting reports on this from Twitter and Reddit, is that I saw, initially Ty Montgomery is in the James White role. He's going to be the prime beneficiary of him retiring. Then I saw, on Monday, Ramondre Stevenson is practicing in the James White role. So question I have for you guys is there still actually going to be a James White role? And if so, like, who's the prime beneficiary if there is that James White role still in this offense?
Belichick is just like known for getting the most out of every single guy he has on the roster and just using guys to their strengths. And I think James White was just a guy that obviously was one of these great receiving backs, and Belichick realized that and used it. I don't think any of these backs that they have on the roster even really compare to James White as a receiving back and what he used to be able to do in that role. So I think Belichick's going to just use all these running backs between Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, Ty Montgomery, Kevin Harris, Pierre Strong, all these running backs that they have, and just really use them where he sees fit. And if that's special teams, I bet you at least 2 of those guys are just going to be special teams gunners, to be completely honest with you. And
I think you're close to the answer, Jake, but I think Belichick's going to just look at this team and be like, why am I going to try and use the likes of Pierre Strong, Ty Montgomery, and I'm missing Kevin Harris, JJ Taylor, even though I think he's probably a cut candidate. Why am I going to use these guys when instead I could just actually scheme open like a Jonnu Smith, who they didn't use last year, but I just think is better than other than Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, those 2. I think Jonnu Smith is just a better offensive talent. And so he's someone that Tennessee has used in like that kind of just hybrid positional, put him wherever he can kind of do something. I think that will be a similar thing that we see this year with the Patriots and Jonnu Smith. Because, I mean, I'm not a follow the money guy, but they are paying this guy a lot of money, and currently he's doing like nothing for the team. So
here's my take on this situation, because I actually thought about this quite extensively. I probably put more thought into it than is worth it from a fantasy perspective, trying to find some arbitrage value. And it's this. Right now, the Patriots don't really have an offensive coordinator. They lost a really good one in Josh McDaniels, probably one of the better ones in the NFL. And now Bill Belichick apparently is being more involved in the offensive game than like ever before. He's been spending, according to a lot of the Patriots beat reporters, just a lot of time around Mac Jones and the offense. And to me, Bill Belichick, his strength over the course of years has been the Patriots have been just a fluid team. They don't have a style of play. They're not like, we're an air raid team. We're only going to run these concepts, and the players that we get have to run these concepts. They are very like almost like an analytical mindset. They take a look at what you have, they take a look at what they have, and try to come up with some sort of game plan to exploit your weakness by using their strengths. So, with that being said, I almost feel like the James White role could still exist, and there could be a beneficiary that is Ty Montgomery or Ramondre Stevenson. But the problem that I have, and I think the reason why we're seeing both of these guys being practiced in this James White role apparently is it all depends on the matchup. This isn't going to be we like Ramondre Stevenson as a pass catcher, so every game we're using him as a pass catcher. That's just the offense. I don't think that's what they're going for. I think that they're going to look at it every week like they usually do and say, okay, if we think that Ramondre Stevenson, we're going to get the ball in his hands and he's going to make a bunch of people miss and that's going to be how we win, that's how they're going to use him. If they think they could do it with Ty Montgomery, we're going to have Ty Montgomery in heavy sets, then motion out to 5 wide, and then use Ty Montgomery in a one-on-one against the linebacker, that's how they're going to do it. But if you think the Patriots are going to do that every fucking week, I just think you're wrong. So I don't think there's going to be a consistent enough beneficiary from this supposed James White role that you can actually increase Ramondre's or Ty Montgomery's value to the point where it's like, I have to overpay for this guy at his current value.
That's fair and probably the right answer, to be honest. I have nothing else really to add on the Patriots. I'm not optimistic about this season as a Patriots fan. But
I think you guys are low-key nice, JT. I think you're giving a lot more slack to that offense than they deserve.
I mean, I'm spoiled. I think they're a fringe playoff team at this point, like in this current makeup. And right now, I'd be more willing to say they miss the playoffs than make the playoffs.
I think the nice
you're
thing
not a Giants fan.
That's true.
It's like this has been the one year in so long that the spotlight isn't on the Patriots, right? Like
the Bills have all the spotlight in the division, even the Jets
fucking Dolphins. Yeah, the Dolphins and Jets. Everyone's talking about. Yeah. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's the Patriots." Like they're probably going to be the same team they were last year. Like, all right, let's move on.
All right, random training camp buzz. I don't know how long we want to spend on this, but it looks like Isaiah Likely is balling out for the Ravens. I like both the tight ends they drafted.
Market, so
yeah, I like both tight ends they drafted. And Likely and Kohler. That is a good play, Jake. I should have. I knew there was going to be a Ravens player to pop up. But the issue is, and what I have with every season with the Ravens is there's always just that one player that's making the big plays in the preseason that doesn't pan out. And I think right now, my bet's going to be that's Likely. Because even if you're running 2 tight end sets, Mark Andrews is the guy. I like Rashad Bateman a lot still. Do I really think the second tight end on the Ravens offense is going to be relevant anytime soon? Like, no.
I mean, they don't really have a second wide receiver, so they are like the third receiving option on the team, which is a relevant player on a lot of teams.
They don't until they do. Like, are we sure Will Fuller, AB, like those kind of players still aren't going to come to
Sure, Baltimore? If they get someone like that, then sure. But as the roster currently stands, I'm not going to predict the signing here. Yeah, but as the roster currently stands, I think both rookie tight ends and Charlie Kohler and Isaiah Likely both have a shot to be that number 3 option. If they're going to run a bunch of heavy 2 tight end sets and say we're going to run the ball down your throat and then run play action out of it, these guys are going to get a lot of targets. I know Mark Andrews is going to be the number 1, and Bateman's probably going to be the number 2. So then who's number 3? Someone else is going to get targets on this team.
Yeah, I'm just wary about a rookie tight end on this team. And it's just anytime that I'm going into it where I like to call it like currently I'm using like the Will Fuller rule, where it's just like if Will Fuller signs with this team, like does this guy immediately become irrelevant? And to me, I think Isaiah Likely, that probably is the case. It's just I don't want to invest in those kind of players, and at the price he's at, it's still not that bad. But if it could,
you're getting them at like a late third, early fourth price. Like
it's a good stat.
I think you guys are kind of both right, because I think that's the argument with these Ravens players is that, I mean, they just went out, drafted 2 tight ends. We're talking about one of the more innovative offenses under Greg Roman. We could easily see this team go out. I wouldn't be surprised if they have sets where they have Kolar and Mark Andrews as tight ends, and then Isaiah Likely is like an H-back.
Yeah.
But I also agree with JT in that I still don't think that means that there's enough workload for either Kolar or Likely in the short term to where they're relevant. So if that means that you can get a favorable trade on a guy like Likely, I'd probably pull the trigger. It'd be the same. I like Kolar, and I liked Kolar more than Likely. But if you're telling me I can trade one of them to upgrade my 3rd round pick to a 2nd round pick next year, it's just a no-brainer. I might even sell them for less than that.
Yeah, I mean, looking right now, it's looking like Likely is he's still not that, like, he's Hayden Hurst kind of level player, which is
value on keep trade cut. Do you have
12? It's 1281, so that's like a
it's still not.
He's up to 1281.
Yeah, what do you get him at? Like 1,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's at that like fringe. He's like a 2023 late third is like roughly what he's currently worth.
It's just are you gonna move him for a late third? Is it worth doing that?
I think I would. You're trading a 4th round pick for a 3rd round pick, like just automatically. Like you keep doing that every year. It's just straight pure value. I don't know about you guys.
That's an interesting move if you do that or not. I don't know.
I'm trying to look at,
because I agree with you. There's you're definitely profiting, right? Like you're turning a guy that was. I imagine he went in the 5th round in some leagues, and and I put that into a 3rd.
I'm pretty sure in our league he didn't even get drafted. I think he was like
picked. I think he was a pickup
602 or something. Like he got picked up right after the draft. So like you're taking that guy and you're immediately moving him for a 3rd round pick, which, I mean, I'll pull up the sheet that shows the recent trades. I'm sure he's probably been traded for.
Chat, are you trading Isaiah Likely right now for a 3rd round pick in 20? Let's say a late 3rd, not even a random 3rd, a late 3rd round pick next year.
I'm doing it.
It's really close. I probably would. I'm with JT. I think I probably would, just because I don't see the ceiling. If it was a guy that really had a higher ceiling and wasn't capped by Mark Andrews, where he actually had the true potential to be a tight end 1, sure, I might hold him because it's not worth the 3rd. But this, like a guy like Likely and Kolar, who are essentially stuck behind Mark Andrews for the foreseeable future, I think that's definitely a reason to just cash out now.
Would you guys rather tight end premium Dallas Goedert or 2023 2nd?
Goddard.
Yeah, that seems really cheap for Goddard. I'm sorry.
Well, that could always be because if it's like a guaranteed top 2 2nd, all of a sudden, that trade's looking a lot more even at that point.
I'm waiting for this Isaiah Likely trades to load up here. But
yes, moving on Likely, easy. I would do it for a mid to early 3rd.
I'd do it for any 3rd, I think, to be honest.
I feel like you guys are talking me into it. I don't necessarily agree with the process of just because he's behind. Not just because, but really factoring into because he's behind Mark Andrews as a deciding factor. It's almost like I want to just value him. Do I think he's good enough?
You can do that all you want, but then again, like what? So he's gonna play out 3 years behind Mark Andrews, and then go to a different team, and you're gonna hold him for all that time. Like it's just adding in the time factor of when does he become relevant at that point? Just because Mark Andrews is there, and like how many teams would successfully run two fantasy relevant tight ends? It's just not since the Patriots with Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, we haven't seen it.
I thought there was one offense. I mean, I'll agree that there's not an offense that's been able to do it for like an extended period of time. It's been like a one-off season for the most part. And maybe that is because of Aaron Hernandez shenanigans, but
I mean, like, how many targets do you think likely would have to see to be like to go up a significant amount in value this year?
To go up a significant amount, he'd want to see like a good 60, 70, 80 targets.
Yeah, that's putting him in like Pat Fryermuth had 79 targets last year.
The big problem with
I don't think he needs that much. He needs that much.
Yeah, I'm not sure he does, but to really be one of those top tier tight ends in the league where you're competing with the top receivers for scoring, you got to be getting 100 targets or even more, right? Like,
yeah, you got to be the Kelseys, the Wallers, all those guys that get all these.
All right,
That's funny.
I'm gonna have one too many of these, though. I'm not gonna be able to drive. I hope you know that.
Uber. Or check and see if certain police officers.
How much real value can be had from the third to fourth option on low volume? Yeah, I think you've convinced me. I'm selling likely for any third I can.
Yeah, it's just the pure profit. I don't know. It's an easy cash out. All right, moving on to our next one, and this one I think has actually been the true story.
Thank God Lounis isn't here for this.
Antonio Gibson's in a free fall. He's in just absolute. Now, part of it does seem like a bait, because I'll just run through the whole timeline of it. The Washington now Commanders, they drafted Brian Robinson. They had J.D. McKissick leave to the Buffalo Bills, and then all of a sudden be like, no, JD, we'll pay you, like, stay with us. So they kept 2 running backs. Then we have Antonio Gibson playing in the first preseason game, which is not what you want to see from a starting running back. Like,
not good.
The people that already have their positions established typically aren't playing, specifically at the running back position. He plays, fumbles, and gets benched, and then has to play with the second unit. Then in practice, he's working with the second and third team and getting punts. So to me,
wow,
doesn't look great. Does not look great.
Southwestern egg rolls is the call from the chat.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I mean, let me put my Rational Frank hat on, right?
Your tin hat, yeah, your tin hat.
Does that imply that just when you're not?
I don't have a hat.
You're not rational.
Me, but just bear with me here. I'm using this slipper, which is fire, by the way.
Let me put my
slippers.
Hat on.
Best slippers in the game.
All right.
Rational hat is on. The hate on Antonio Gibson has simply just gone too far. And I don't necessarily disagree with the hate. I've sold every Antonio Gibson I had simply because I looked at Antonio Gibson coming out and what he's done the past couple of years, and I looked at Brian Robinson, and I thought to myself, I don't really know if Antonio Gibson is a better running back than Brian Robinson. That was my issue.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, put the Rational hat on. This is a guy that now is probably not even worth a first-round pick that's just put up like 2 1,200-yard plus all-purpose yard seasons. He's gone over 1,000 yards 2 years in a row. He's going to day one be the number 1 running back on this football team. I think you're a fool if you think that is wrong. And even someone who loves Brian Robinson, it's not going to be like an instant, oh, Brian Robinson's coming out there day one and is the RB1 for Washington. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but let me pose this question to you. Would you rather have him or CEH?
CEH. And I don't like CEH.
Yeah. This is where Rational Frank runs into a wall.
Yep.
Because he's still currently valued above CEH.
I just hate how they brought in Brian Robinson. Like, That's the problem I have.
And overpaid for their pass catching back. And played him in the first preseason game.
I just think at the end of the day, this dude is at the same price as Tony Pollard. Like,
well, I just think
okay, that's a bad example because Tony Pollard is being way overhyped because he's apparently dead.
Okay, what about Damian Pierce and Ramondre Stevenson? You're telling me that Antonio Gibson doesn't have a more favorable situation than these guys?
Yeah, but he's also the same price as James Conner, and it's just.
Well, yeah, because James Conner is starting to get some wrinkles on the cheeks, right? Like,
yeah, but again, it's the same thing where it's just like
for a running back.
Yeah, sure. He's like our age, which is tough.
Will the last person to own Gibson please turn off the lights?
You're caught holding the bag if you have Gibson at this point. Anyone who thinks right now you're buying low on Gibson, I think it's just going to keep going down until he's valued under CH, because CEH is at least the clear-cut number one guy in Kansas City right now. People thought it was going to be Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is probably going to get cut. And then, at least with the Chiefs, they were giving CEH a lot of opportunities. Like he was in for 3 downs and everything. Antonio Gibson, he was a 2-down. He was a 2-down back for the most part. J.D. McKissick was in on those 3rd and long kind of plays. And then, let's throw in the Brian Robinson that we were just talking about too, where he has the shiny new guy who's now, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco could be considered a shiny new guy, but I think he's just easily fool's gold at this point. Like, just no shot Isaiah Pacheco is going to be good. Whereas Brian Robinson might be good. So if Brian Robinson, usurps Antonio Gibson, you got nothing. You got some guy who's a gadgety player who can do some stuff, but for the most part is not worth his current early 2nd round pick.
I just think I feel like the hate is starting to get to the point where it's becoming worth it to buy Gibson.
I'm just too. I think you're going to run if you try to buy Gibson right now. I feel like you're going to run into like a Mixon paradox almost, where you're just going to be like the guy who's selling him is going to be like, I need a first plus because of what he's done. Exactly what you said.
I think you have guys. I think people who have Gibson at this point are panicking too. I think they'll take that early 2nd if they see it. I think they. I
don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had people trading him for like, mid-second.
That's the thing. If I could get him for a mid-second, it's worth the risk. I don't care if he goes kaputs, right? I don't give a shit because I could potentially be getting a low-end RB1. I really don't think that last year is out of the range of outcomes now for Gibson. I really don't think so. Okay, yeah, long term. Do I want to be holding the bag on Gibson and being invested in him and saying like, oh, Gibson to 24. This guy can have another 1,000-yard season. And then after that, he'll have another 1,000-yard season. And then after that, he's going to have, no. Yeah, I agree with you guys there. But next year, because we're getting to the point where the price is not about the future. The price is about next year. This dude could easily put up 1,000 yards. Easily. If you're a contender, you can add. And having Gibson as your RB3, that's phenomenal. Add him as your RB4. Holy smokes. Okay, yes, he's not the crowning jewel. He should have never been the crowning jewel. We all said on this pod, except for fucking Lounis, that he should not be a top 15 running back. But now the hate's going crazy.
Yeah, but again, I don't think you're going to find in a logical league, not full with any tacos, you're not getting him for a mid-second. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, I do agree with you there. It's probably a lot harder to trade. Getting him at this $3,500 price on Keep Trade Cut, apparently the same price as Tony Pollard. Essentially, Tony Pollard's worth 7 more points than Gibson. I just don't think any Gibson owner is selling him that low. At that point, they're just like, no, I'd rather just hold. I agree with you there.
I don't know, guys. I think the panic's high. I think you guys are downplaying the panic that people have.
No, listen, the panic is high, but that still doesn't mean if you're a Gibson owner to just sell for nothing.
Well, I'm not saying to sell for nothing, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if you actually truly do have people who are selling for those mid-seconds.
Can you flip? What about Christian Kirk? Can you flip Christian Kirk for him?
Christian Kirk's just one of those polarizing guys where I think you either really like him or you really don't. So
who would you rather have, Christian Kirk or Gibson? Full point PPR, by the way.
Sadly,
full point PPR. I think I'm still taking Gibson just because like Christian Kirk's nice.
Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk.
It's just at the end of the day, I still like the running back normally.
Yeah, all right. For this one, shout out to Joe Herbert because he mentioned earlier. Fantasy Doctors just sent Kenneth Walker sports hernia. Didn't check the content. Pete
Carroll also said I've not seen much news on this either, but Pete Carroll said we've just got to make sure that he's okay by the opener is what we're shooting for. So that's not a great quote that you want to see. He's following in Rashad Penny's footsteps of just getting hurt in that region.
This is just, I don't know what's up with the running backs in Seattle, but none of them can stay healthy. I don't know what they're doing. Between Chris Carson, who's retiring now, Rashad Penny, who's never played more than like 3 games in his life, and now Kenneth Walker has a hernia before the season even starts. What are they doing? What do they feed these running backs in Seattle?
It's the curse in New England. They didn't run the ball that one time in the Super Bowl, and since then, all the running backs have been hurt. I had to get that in there somewhere.
A sports hernia is a strain or tear of any soft tissue, muscle, tendon, ligament in the lower abdomen or groin area.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's that one region between Penny and
I really don't think this is that big of a deal. Like, if we're being honest here, let's play a game. If this is the Super Bowl and Kenneth Walker has a sports hernia and he's been nursing this thing for 2 weeks, you think he's playing or not?
Yeah, probably. Yes.
I have no idea.
I'm just trying to remember.
This is completely speculative.
People play with them.
I think this was the same kind of injury that Rashad Bateman had in the beginning of preseason last year. Yes. Which he was out till, I think he got put on IR. So he was out till week 5.
4 or 5, something like that.
You're fuck. Maybe this is serious then.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it depends on how serious it is. I think they called it a low grade, right? Or was that something else?
Dude, I have no fucking idea what's going on. Get the fantasy doctors in here, right?
Well, the fantasy doctors didn't do too hot this week, so
yeah, let's just hate the fantasy. Whatever the fantasy doctors say, let's just do the opposite, right? Like
fantasy doctors.
I've blocked or muted all of them. After the Zach Wilson thing, I muted every single one I could find. Like,
nah, I love the fantasy doctors on Twitter. Gotta love them.
How about this? I have a great idea.
Let's hear your great idea.
I don't know where this is going.
This is going to be more of a C great idea. Hold on, let me get it on the screen.
Oh, I thought you were grading it as a C, not a. We're gonna have to look at it.
Oh no, this is an A+ great idea.
I was with you, JT. I'm like,
yeah, my great idea is a C.
Let's ask the Magic 8 Ball.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Is the Kenneth Walker injury something to care about?
I think we should put the Magic 8 Ball instead of Lounis, and throughout the pod, if we have any questions, we just ask Lounis.
All right,
can you put Lounis's face?
You're asking a lot out of here. I don't have any pictures of Lounis on my computer right now, or like something.
You absolutely do. You made the Stonks logo. You have one.
Actually, no, you're right. All right, here we go. Signs point to yes. Oh fuck!
That's what I'm saying. Like
Magic 8 Ball says it's serious.
No, it's not getting me to be like, oh, like hit the alarm buttons on Kenneth Walker, but like the Seahawks already being like, yeah, we hope he'll be ready for week 1. Like that just tells me he's not going to be ready for week 1. It's just like, yeah, we hope he's going to be good.
This sell Kenneth Walker, sell him. Should have sold him before. Sell him before it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be frustrating because he's not going to come back right away.
I mean, the thing is that this is like a Zach Wilson scenario. It's okay. On a more serious note, if you are a Kenneth Walker truther, maybe you're a Michigan State fan. You're like Kenneth Walker and Kirk Cousins. Those are our guys. You're one of those kinds of dudes. Are you really going to sell him?
I don't know those guys.
Are you really going to sell him? You're out here like, oh, he's got a sports hernia. He might miss like the first 4 games, let's say at most. Is that a reason for you to be like, panic sell? No, no, it's not.
I'm not.
I don't know what happened to that segment. I don't know what is going on anymore.
We're off the rails. New segment, though.
Yeah, new segment. This is a juicer right here, and it's really not, but it is. We got a final rookie mock. Get this thing out here. We center it. Oh, yeah. All right, yeah, this is going to be our final 2022 rookie mock draft of the year. I have the first pick. I kind of want to go through this like relatively quickly, unless there's like something that's drastically changed from the other mocks that we've done. So, for example, here, Breece Hall is going to be still my first pick, running back on the Jets. He's been the first pick basically all season, so nothing really changed. Still high on Breece Hall.
This one's definitely going to go against consensus, but I'm number 2, and I'm sticking with my guy, Treylon Burks.
Oh my
I don't care.
God. How could you do that? How, JT? That's not the point of the segment.
It's no, I don't care. Like this is the point of the segment. Everything's overhyped. Oh, Phillips he's really good at route running against the third team. Oh, he's practicing sometimes with the first team, as if Treylon Burks isn't also practicing with the first team. Like this guy is still good. Like we're overreacting on Treylon Burks.
I will say good. I have seen in a couple of my leagues now, I've seen Treylon Burks traded straight up for Sky Moore. I've seen Treylon Burks traded straight up for George Pickens. So. Yeah. It seems like there is a tangible drop on Treylon right now.
And to me, that's go out and get. If you could trade George Pickens straight up for Treylon Burks, do that immediately. Do that. That is how you win fantasy leagues.
No, it's
that is how you win fantasy leagues.
George Pickens, whatever. I'm not getting into this right now. Anyways, with that, you leave me the guy that should go number 2, and that's Drake London. Nothing changed there.
Yeah, it's fine. Drake London.
All right, Jake, you're up at 4. This is an interesting pick here at 4.
4 is
Consensus here was Garrett Wilson or Kenneth Walker during the season. Are you going to deviate from that? Or during the preseason, whatever.
I am, and it's because I don't think I will get the guy I want with my next pick, and I'm going to take my guy. I'm going to take the guy that's getting all the hype in the preseason. You can meme me all you want. I don't care. I was high on this guy before everyone else was high on him and saw him play in camp. I'm taking George Pickens, and I don't give a crap what you fucking say.
You were high on him. Just crazy, though. He's like fine. I don't know.
So what is it? Is it just the training camp stuff? Is it what is it about George Pickens that?
I mean, listen, I was comfortable taking him with this pick before all this hype about him. I just think people didn't get to see him his junior season. He played only in the bowl game, and like if people saw a full season of George Pickens at Georgia, they really would have just been like, holy crap, this guy is really good. There's nothing. What you're a Steelers fan. You've seen all the camp reports and all that. What doesn't this guy do? Everyone's raving about him. I know it's training camp, and okay, that was the Georgia offense. The Georgia offense.
I think you're right, though. I mean, the guy's been doing everything, and he's a phenomenal blocker, which was get the Steelers fans.
Yeah, you see him pancake that guy.
Oh, I love that.
You don't get points for pancakes. You guys are you're hyping up the wrong.
Okay, now would you if you had Garrett Wilson, would you trade him straight up for George Pickens right now?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I would, one. But two, I think I could get more. I think I can get George Pickens plus for Garrett Wilson, and I think that's an instant win. If I can get a 3rd-round pick on top of him, great. Do it. Add the value.
Okay, interesting. All right, JT, you're up here at 5. Who are you taking?
Well, this is a guy I was comfortable taking at 4 instead, and that is the true guy that should be getting all the hype, Sky Moore, wide receiver, Kansas City. Juju's already got some knee soreness. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I just think if there's a world where Sky Moore is the leading wide receiver on the Kansas City offense, just that like you gotta go all in on this guy because he could boom. Whereas I don't know who's in World War III right now, but Sky Moore boom currently. He has the potential to be the leading wide receiver on one of the top offenses in the league, and he's still not really treated like it. Because right now, I think most people would say I've reached on Sky Moore. And I think he was a great prospect coming out of college. We've seen him have nice catches in the preseason. We've seen him working with the first team, even though this first preseason game he hasn't necessarily run with the first team in the first preseason game. Targets have to be earned, whatever. It's the whole NFL thing. I just think this guy is a very, very good player that is not getting treated like he should be, like we treated players in the past. I
mean, his ADP is up to 9. I guess it was not up a lot. It was at like 11 during most main rookie draft seasons. So.
I just think, I mean, I was looking at the Dynasty maybe a week ago, and not much has changed in that realm. And it was the question of like, rank these guys: Chris Olave, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, and Sky Moore. And the majority of people were saying Sky Moore 4th. And I think that's bait. Yeah, I think that's bait.
All right, well, I'm up here at 6 and 7, and I'm just going to be...
you're getting some DPA.
Yeah, I'm just going to take my value here. I'm going to take Garrett Wilson at 6. I actually have been thinking about trading for Garrett Wilson in some leagues just because I don't think he's done anything wrong during camp. He just hasn't gotten the crazy hype. I think he's a phenomenal player. I still believe that Garrett Wilson could come out of this draft as the best receiver, and you can make an argument he's the most talented. I really don't think that that's outside of the realm of craziness. I mean, just look at the Ohio State offense. They've got 3 first-round picks on that offense, and he produced the most out of them all last year. All right, now I actually think it was the other dude, Smith and Jigba, that produced the most. But he was fucking close. Whatever.
I bought into the belief, though, that Elijah Moore is the lead dog, top dog on that offense.
Yeah, I've kind of followed JT on this one. Not that I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a bad season by any stretch of the imagination. I think he'll be great, but I do think falling to about 7 or 6 is great.
Don't get
tough for me.
Don't get because we've seen it, like fading a wide receiver because of the wide receiver room around him. I think is kind of bad process, especially when it's just
it definitely is. No, it definitely is. It definitely is. We've seen it with T. Higgins. Everyone faded T. Higgins when the Bengals took Jamar Chase, and look how that worked.
I kept trying to trade him for him from you.
Yeah, 107. I'm taking Jameson Williams. This is the pick that most people were getting Sky Moore at in rookie drafts. That at least I was in. You said his ADP was 9 or 11. I saw Sky Moore consistently going 7 or 8. And I'm gonna take Jameson Williams here at that Sky Moore, but I still think that Jameson Williams, like. You talk about him, you have to mention him as a top 5 wide receiver talent in this draft. Yeah, he has the early injury, but the guy has the draft capital. Last year at Bama, he had the production. It's just, this is value to me.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
At this point,
getting Jameson Williams at 7, I like that a lot.
Yeah, at this point, I think we've gone too far at letting Kenneth Walker fall. So I'll be the one to jump on the grenade here and take him. There's a chance he's actually like a solid running back. I don't like it at 103, 104 area. But I mean, if you're telling me I could get him at 108, especially what I consider to be a big drop off after him in terms of running back quality, I think that's a nice pickup there. 108.
All right, Jake, you got back to backers 109, 110.
I can almost guarantee who he goes here.
Well, at 108 or 109, sorry, I'm going to take Jahan Dotson.
Whoa. That's not who I would have said you pick here.
Yeah, I think
I thought you were going to take Dotson. Actually, no, you hate seniors.
Yeah, me, no shot.
Yeah,
and then 110 Olave.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought it would have gone the other way around. I thought we were talking Chris Olave.
I like what Dotson showed in camp. I just think even with the Terry extension, I don't think it really matters to Dotson. So, yeah, those are the two guys. I think those are just value picks right there. I think both those guys probably went higher. Maybe not Dotson, but Chris Olave definitely went higher during the main rookie draft season. So,
I really don't like this part of the draft. I never did. I still don't. It's a tough spot. I'm between Wan'Dale Robinson and Christian Watson, but I'm just gonna go with Wan'Dale. I mean, he's already
Wan'Dale here.
Wow.
He's running with the ones on the Giants. I think Kenny Galladay's kind of been beat. Kadarius Toney's just constantly hurt. I think Wan'Dale's the guy. I really like him. Sized him there.
That's an interesting pick. I don't value Wan'Dale. He has been getting the camp hype though, and you did like him a lot pre-draft. He does check a lot of boxes in terms of like yards per route run, early declare, production in a really good conference. I can at least see that. At 112 though, I'm taking Kenny Pickett. This is the scenario that, to me, if I were drafting in rookie drafts months ago, this is the type of scenario that I would take Kenny Pickett at. I would have probably taken him at 111 if I were JT. It's that, okay, all the what I kind of view as better prospects go before. And I think Kenny Pickett's a risky guy, but he has the first round draft capital, just not as high as you'd like. But he goes to a good organization. 111, 112, hard maybe at 110. I don't think I'd take him at 110. I'd probably take all the 10 guys before him, but 112 I think is a fine pick to take him at. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
201, I'm deciding between David Bell and Trey McBride. I don't really know which one of those I want. I think I'll go Trey McBride. Yeah, I'll go Trey McBride for now.
Oh, thank you.
Especially because I know JT wants David Bell at my next pick, so at least I'll have the satisfaction and Jake not letting David Bell drop super far.
Yeah, thank you. I needed you to take David Bell there, because otherwise it would have. Trey McBride there, because otherwise it would have gotten really difficult for me. But
Tyrod Taylor getting QB1 reps for the Giants, is that happening?
No.
I doubt, but
wouldn't shock me.
I was gonna say I'm not like convinced that this neck injury that Daniel Jones has like isn't going to end up being a career-ending injury. Like one that he's just not going to come back from.
I mean, I want to see him take a real hit first, because he hasn't taken the one since the injury. But I think
he's
after
got a big ass neck too.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
It's a big target.
Anyways, I'm up at 203. I think this pick is just a straight value pick here. I'm taking Christian Watson. I don't love him as a prospect, didn't just because of the production in North Dakota State. But the good draft capital playing with Aaron Rodgers at pick 203, I don't think you can go wrong. I'm up again at 204. This is where it gets difficult. I think I'm going to have to go James Cook just because it's, again, a value play here. I know he's getting a lot of camp hype, but it's just, I still don't love it. I like him a lot here at 204 when you probably had to take him at 201 in your actual rookie draft.
Wait, is he getting... I feel like I haven't heard anything on James Cook recently.
Nah, he's been getting a little hype. People think he's just going to be the running back one right off rip, which I have a hard time saying. They're going to just throw Devin Singletary to the curb. But
all right, so, JT, you're on.
The problem is I'm looking at I think I probably should take a running back here. I think a lot of people would say you gotta take Dameon Pierce here, but I just go back through history and look at every running back drafted after pick 100, and
it's not good.
It's like a 20% hit rate.
It's
probably.
pretty gross. Now, Rachaad White is actually the one that I probably would take.
Oh God!
But the problem, I think Leonard Fournette is just better. I don't think he's ever going to actually be a meaningful back. So I'm going to go kind of crazy and out off the reservation here. I'm going to take Jelani Woods, tight end for the Colts.
Jelani Woods. How is a Boston Watson a value pick? That's hilarious.
He hasn't. He just came off PUP yesterday.
I'm going to take Dameon Pierce here, running back.
Yeah, it's gross, but probably.
Yeah, in large part just because his value is so high. That's a value pick.
Woods. Hold on, I missed the Jelani Woods pick.
Dude, Jelani Woods is a freak athlete who has the potential to be a sick tight end that you can stash. I think all the running backs here are just guys that are going to fizzle out who I don't really care about. And if we're being quite honest, I'm looking at the second round, these mid second round guys to me in most drafts are probably third round guys in any other draft.
Speaking of, I'm after Dameon Pierce at 206, I went with Romeo Doubs at 207. It was really close between him and Jalen Tolbert. Alec Pierce may be a consideration, but I went with Doubs just because, at this point in the draft, I kind of agree with JT. There's kind of some big fall-offs. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the running backs that are consensus taken here, so I'll go with Doubs for now, buying into the hype a little bit.
Now, you didn't really take the players I wanted you to take. Not that I would have taken either of those guys here, but it makes it harder for me to justify taking these guys here, but I'm going to take Brian Robinson at this point.
That's fine.
You bum. That's
Brian Robinson.
I was going to take him next.
All right, so at least we know that multiple.
Yeah, we are a Brian Robinson pod.
We are. 208's not. No,
but the thing is that in a lot of draft, people seem to be really licking their fingers with Isaiah Spiller and Rachaad White. Both in rookie drafts earlier and now.
He's according to Keep Trade Cut, he's worth about 2.08 in this year's draft. So it's about the same. So who are you going with, Jake? You got 2 picks here.
Yeah, I do. The first guy I'm taking is Jalen Tolbert, a guy Frank mentioned earlier. I just liked him as a prospect. Think he fits well in Dallas, especially with Gallup coming back off the injury. All stuff we've talked about before. Not going to go too deep into it. And the other guy I'm going to take is Malik Willis.
He was one that I was trying to convince myself not to take here, but would have probably taken.
Yeah, I'm going to take Malik Willis, take the quarterback here. He showed his rushing upside in the preseason where he ran that one in. Obviously, he's going to be behind Tannehill this year, but I do think you don't take him without at least thinking in the back of your head Tannehill is not a long-term option. So,
yeah,
worth the shot here at the end of the second.
Again, I think I'm just going to have to go. Man, if I looked at who I was picking, I don't love it. But I think I'm just gonna have to go value here and take Rachaad White at this point.
Probably.
Yeah. Truthfully, I think he's just okay, but he is like a day 3. A third round pick, day 2 pick. Sorry, day 2 pick, third round pick, and he's on an exciting team. I don't know how I feel about how good he is.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take Alec Pierce. I think to me he's like one of the...
Yeah, Lounis probably would have taken him.
One of the more... I don't think he's the last receiver in this tier of receivers I have, but I'm just not a fan of the running backs available. So I'm not going to take one of the quarterbacks. Oh, shit, I'm up again. Well, I guess I'll take my other. Which one do I take?
I have a feeling I know who you're going to take here. I'd be pretty surprised if you didn't take.
I'd take Mechie, but I don't know what the fuck to think about Mechie anymore.
It's difficult. This would take Velus Jones here.
I'll take Tyquan Thornton.
That's what I thought you were going to take. That's pretty good.
I want to take Mechie here, but I just don't know anymore. I guess I'll take Tyquan Thornton over him.
So part of me looks in and is like, hey, there's another day 2 running back, Tyrion Davis Price, but I don't like Tyrion Davis Price.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah. So then I'm looking around quarterbacks, Matt Corral. I just like Sam Howell better. I kind of want to take Sam Howell here.
Please don't. Just don't.
I'm looking like, so Isaiah Spiller's here, Mechie, but who knows with Mechie? That's kind of just I'm gonna stay away.
Dude, what about the model, Tyler Algier?
Yeah, no shot. Am I ever taking Tyler Algier? I'm just gonna take Sam Howell.
Oh my god!
All right.
I think Carson Wentz is trash. I think Sam Howell might be one of the first quarterbacks to play. I think Matt Corral is kind of screwed for this year. I think Kenny Pickett has a ways to go. I just think Carson Wentz is trash, and Sam Howell will be the guy.
All right,
Jake, you got back-to-backers here.
Well, I'm going to take, first off, the greatest running back alive, according to Twitter these days, Zamir White.
Oh, not Isaiah Pacheco?
Nope. The greatest running back alive is clearly
so
Zamir
keep
White.
Keep in mind, we're not. We're at 303 and we still haven't taken Pacheco yet. And there are trades where you could trade him for a second. Like we saw proven on a couple pods ago, Pacheco for a second. As such, like if you're not doing that now, you are hurting yourself in the long run. You have Pacheco.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't taken him, like you said, through this far, and if you could make him a second next year, that's crazy. But the next guy I'm going to take is also a guy we've been talking about. It's John Mechie.
Yeah.
I just think he's too good. Obviously, hope he gets better. Wishing him the best. But middle of the third round right now, give me the upside on him.
So I noticed Joe's comment in chat, but didn't want to say anything yet because I didn't want you guys to take him. But I think Khalil Shakir.
I'm not going to.
Khalil Shakir at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him anywhere in the third round.
Oh, really? You guys are that low on Khalil Shakir?
I think Khalil Shakir is the biggest bait of all time.
I think you look at this Buffalo offense and like Gabe Davis is fine, like he's whatever.
But the thing is, like when Gabe Davis was coming out 2 years ago, I actually liked his tape and liked his game. Here I watched Khalil Shakir and I'm like, it's okay.
I don't like. What do you see from Gabriel Davis that like says he's significantly better than Khalil Shakir? I don't.
Not significant,
Khalil Shakir can't separate in the slot to me.
Yeah, you say that, but like, I don't know. Separation is such a myth to me. I do not care about separation.
It's a myth.
Yeah, I don't care about separation
Chase.
if you're like a
It's a myth when you're any wide receiver. It's a myth, right? If someone says a player has good route running or is good at separating, I just immediately discredit it because no one actually knows.
Okay, now what if they're bad at separating, right?
If you say they're bad at separating, or they're bad at route running, I'm just going to discount it because I just like. Who truly knows? Like everyone, it's the immediate go-to about any receiver is, oh, this guy's good or / bad at route running and separating. And it's just, you say, and how do you prove it right or wrong?
Watch the film.
Oh, like look at this guy. He's so open. Well, maybe the defense just doesn't really care about that guy. Like they're not going to put the focus on that guy. Maybe that's why he's getting open.
Maybe.
All right. I'm taking the Isaiahs, and I hate doing it. Isaiah Pacheco and Isaiah Spiller. Yeah, these are pick flips right here.
Yeah, just immediately grab them and trade them for better capital in future years. I don't hate that move.
I mean, they're just too valuable to pass up in the middle of the third round. It's just like who am I going to take?
Spiller. I don't know how Spiller's made it this far.
But now I think I have to. If I'm sticking to my guns, I take Matt Corral here. If I'm going for value, I take Tyler Algier.
Yeah.
So I'll stick to my guns and take Matt Corral.
I would probably take Matt Corral over Algier as well, if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah, I mean,
Matt Corral's got way better separation than Algier.
It's true. Look at all the time in the pocket he has. I mean, let's be honest. That people hate Baker Mayfield.
I agree with you that separation is an overrated metric, but I don't completely agree that it's worthless at all.
How do you, if you look at separation, it's negatively correlated with fantasy points. In terms of more separation means less fantasy points. Because yeah, look it up.
Well,
the players that have less separation are guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase.
No, stop. Stephon Diggs does not have that.
And the players, or no, maybe not Stephon Diggs, but Julio Jones, and the players that have
you just named three ginormous human beings.
The players that
three ginormous human beings.
That is the point. You want big, thick receivers. That's why Treylon Burks is my 102. That is the players we are chasing. We are chasing the AJ Browns, the DK Metcalfs. We are chasing these big, thick receivers because they are the ones that are going to be the wide receiver top 5 guys. They're the ones who are year after year the very good wide receivers. It's just such an easy formula to follow. You don't draft wide receivers, and you don't draft tiny guys before the big guys.
I think you're correct to an extent where it's just like, sure, for that number one.
Okay, can we just finish up the mock real quick before we get into this?
Okay.
Sure. I'm up with back-to-back picks. This is a tough spot.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. Any of these guys I'd love to flip. Let me pose this question real quick though. I come up to you and I'm like, hey, I'll give you a 2023 third for this pick. Are you taking it?
Yeah.
I'm just immediately. If I could flip any of these next guys for a 2023 easily flipping them.
I mean, I guess I'm gonna take Desmond Ridder. I mean, I like Ridder.
I mean, yeah, the upside makes sense for the fucking pick you're getting him at here. Like, am I gonna? Oh, you took Matt Corral at 308, like Desmond Ridder 309.
Yeah, it's gross though. It's just
It's not great. And then the other guy back to back here.
Bayless Jones.
I will die before I take Bayless Jones. I'm gonna take Calvin Austin, another Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. I don't dislike that.
I think he's a good little player.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I think I have to take him, though, with Tyler Algier. Just because I think you can flip him for more immediately. I'm going to have to look up Pat.
Yeah, I'm having a weird battle between I'll take Kate Otten here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go Bellinger, honestly.
I think that this is the spot where you just start scooping up the RB2s in their teams, like a Hassan Haskins is one. If you believe in Keontae Ingram, this is where he generally goes.
Yep.
But I'll just go Kate Otten because I think he's a little bit underpriced. But here's the updated mock now, I guess. Without Lounis, you definitely saw why Jameson Williams fell a couple spots. Probably same thing with Garrett Wilson.
It's just like I've said it for a while now about Jameson Williams. Like we know he's not going to have. Did we lose Jake? He's not going to have like a good rookie season. It's just the only time we've ever really seen it is OBJ, where it's players come straight from injury and it has popped off. So taking him where you're taking him, but like taking him where he's supposed to be taking at like the 104, 105 range is just, I don't think you're going to see a lot of great return on that in the current. At 107 where you took him, I think that's nice.
Yeah, so we've definitely seen some of these players, most notably George Pickens, ADP rose in our mock draft, Sky Moore as well. I guess Wandale even. Of all of these players, and I guess some of the ones below, because we're just three guys, we're not consensus. Are you selling any of these guys on hype? Are you just saying, listen, I've liked him pre-draft, or I'm cashing out, or this player's a bait, I'm cashing out? Who are those guys for you guys?
I mean, to get the obvious ones out of the way, I mean, Romeo Doubs. I think we talked about it on a previous pod that if you can trade him for a next year's second, any of them, any second next year, even 2024, any second in 2024, just do it. You probably,
dude, I feel like I'm not doing that though.
No,
I have a bunch of Dobbses, and I ain't selling.
Like the hype's just too high. I understand he's having a good camp. He scored in the preseason game. Blah 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 blah. The line goes on and on. Tanyan is coming back off the PUP. Christian Watson off the PUP. Randall Cobb's still there. Alan Lazard's still there. I see him at best being the fourth target on this team. At best. But it's not enough to go around. Even with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, you got to get rid of him.
Here's my cash out on certain players. Anyone comes up to me offering me a 23 first for George Pickens, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, see ya.
Say that again. Who? Pickens, Jameson,
and Garrett Wilson. I just think I think the receivers that are going to be in the 23, even if it's 112, I think you're going to have a very similar product kind of
in a 23. You're talking 23 pick.
Yeah.
I just think I actually kind of agree with that. Not that I hate those players, but more so because I think JT's right in that. Let's just say it's 111 or 110. You'll probably get a pretty darn similar receiver prospect with the upside of, okay, if this pick's a 107, I might be getting a nasty running back or like a really good quarterback or something.
I mean,
even some of the fucking receivers like Butte, Smith and Jigba, those two guys alone could easily be the top receivers in this class.
I'm looking at it as like worst case scenario. I'm getting Raheem Jarrett, who I like better than
Raheem Jarrett is an animal, dude.
Yeah, like that's my worst case scenario, and I like him better than most of these guys here. So those three. I mean, Olave like easily gone for a 23. I don't know if you're getting that or Dotson, but like easily gone. Wandale Robinson. I wouldn't trade for a 23 second, but if you're giving me like 23 seconds. Maybe I have to throw in a third on top of it. I'm doing that. I'll cash out there. The rest of the guys.
What about Dameon Pierce? I mean, Dameon Pierce. We saw his price go up.
Give me a second.
I'd probably take any second for Dameon Pierce.
Dang, you guys are a little bit lower on these guys tonight. What about Tyquan Thornton?
Any second. I don't know.
Any second in existence.
Yeah, any second.
Pacheco. What about Pacheco for any third?
Yep.
Not any. I just think you could get more for it than any third for Pacheco at this point.
I think you can get 2/3 is a realistic.
I'll give Pacheco and a third for a second.
Okay. Absolutely. I mean, I'd be already offering out Pacheco for a second in my leagues and see.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to settle, I would do Pacheco for a third if I had him. He probably would have been off my team at this point. Because I would be like, let me get rid of him before he turns to dust, like a pumpkin.
I guess
or whatever.
I was gonna ask the question of panic sells, but we could probably save that for a segment in a future episode. So yeah, looking at the doc, I mean, if we want, we could talk more about separation if we wanted to. We have another segment, but we're an hour 14 in. We could continue the separation talk because I thought that was an interesting topic that we had. Because you're right, JT. At the end of the day, separation is a metric with receivers that, especially with film watchers, is one of the go-to metrics for like a barometer of success for a receiver. Oh, this guy can separate. Oh, this guy can't separate. And it's a big deal. And I think intuitively, when you just think about the receiver position, it makes sense. If you're running a route, you obviously want to get away from the defender. But at the same time, I do agree with you in that the metric has gotten a little bit overblown, especially when you start adding the nuance of defensive coverages into the equation. It's like, depending on our scheme and where we're putting our receiver and what coverage we're going up against, and is he doubled? Is he this? What's the fucking route? Like, separation all of a sudden becomes a little bit more convoluted.
Yeah, let me see if I could find.
But I think at the end of the day, though, where we disagree, because I agree with you that separation, especially for the outside receivers, is an overrated metric. And I've fallen victim to this in the past with my scouting, but I've learned. But at the end of the day, when you're a slot receiver, you need to be able to separate to me. Like, if you can't separate in this, because here's why. It's not because, like, oh, if you can't separate in the slot, you're a bad receiver or you just suck around. It's like, in the slot, you have a natural advantage for the most part of the defensive player has to cover both directions. You know, it's why you see in the NFL what they call the nasty split, or just bringing in that X receiver tight is really popular these days. Is because the same fucking reason. If you have your X receiver out near the sideline, it just kind of makes a D-back's job a little bit easier from a complete hypothetical perspective if everyone on the field was even. Now, it's a little bit different when, you know, you're 5'11" McGee going up against DK Metcalf, but let's leave that out for the time being. When you're in the slot, to me, you just kind of have a natural advantage. Take into account the way that the NFL has been headed, where you have the Hunter Renfrows, the Cooper Kupps, Justin Jefferson, even all these dudes running option routes out of the slot, where either they or the quarterback is looking at the leverage of the defender that is covering them in zone or in man or whatever. They're looking at the leverage of the defense, and they are running a route that is that is running away from a defender's leverage. If the defender on you in the slot is shading to the outside, you run to the inside, right? If to me you can't execute in favorable scenarios like that, why do I think you're a good player? I especially when a lot of the other boxes aren't checked. You don't have first round draft capital. You know, you're a day 3 guy. You're an outlier to begin with. A lot of listen, I can't think of it off the top of my head for Khalil Shakir, but like a lot of the other factors start to compile on top of the fact that I don't think you can separate in the slot.
And I think that's kind of what I was going to get at before you cut us off and made us finish the mock here. It's just that, like, separation isn't an important stat when you're this top guy, when you're Justin Jefferson, when you're DK Metcalf, when you're Jamar Chase, when you're T. Higgins, all these guys where you're just like, they don't separate enough, but they're 6'3" plus. They run a 4.4. They check all the other boxes. They're good route runners, blah, blah, blah. They check all the other boxes. You're like, doesn't matter. Watch the tape. They'll catch the football. They'll be open. But now you're talking these middle guys, these guys that are going to be the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 on a team, and you're trying to figure out if they can be better than that. Separation matters because they're not 6'4". They're not running the 4.4s. Like, there's a lot of different factors here that where if you're a middling wide receiver that's going to just, you know, the Cole Beasleys of the world, right? They're nothing physically, you know, intimidating, like the likes of these other guys that we're talking about. And now you watch Cole Beasley, and he just gets open. That's all he does, is he gets open.
Now, it's weird in the context of we're talking about Khalil Shakir, because to be honest, like, I'm not that high on Khalil Shakir and don't really care about Khalil Shakir. But we're strictly talking about separation. I don't care. Frank, I just put in, if you could pull this tweet up on the stream. It shows.
You mean have a second?
So essentially, with the tweet that Frank's going to show up, showing your separation and completed air yards over expectation, and that was through, I don't know, like 8 weeks, maybe less, 7 weeks of last year. But you're essentially going to see, like, it doesn't really matter if you separate or not. Like the good players, like AJ Brown and Terry McLaurin and Kenny Galladay, like that, you win different ways. Players win different ways, and just because they can't separate doesn't mean they aren't a good wide receiver. Like right. I would argue, I'd rather have the left side of this graph. I don't know if the graph is up on the stream yet.
Yeah, it's on here.
Than the right side. Like I would rather have the Jamar Chase, AJ Brown kind of players, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Justin Jefferson's like right in the middle. But when you have like the guys that can separate, it's just like I feel like they're more easily replaceable. I think someone like Hunter Renfrow and Cole Beasley and John Brown and I'm trying to think of like the other players. Like those guys are just like they're the slot guys that don't like they're
right. That's what I'm saying. It's the guys that need to make the roster. They need to set. They need to separate.
Yeah, but I'm not. Like, I'm not exactly going out here. Saying. Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not drafting players for them to make the roster, for them to then get me 7 points, 8 points a game, where they're not making a meaningful contribution in my team. And for the most part, those are the kind of players that you're getting at that point. Like you're getting though. Hunter Renfrow is like the pin. Well, I guess Cooper Kupp is the true pinnacle guy there, but that's like such a once in a lifetime kind of thing. From you don't see that often. Hunter Renfrow, I feel like, is the more like you're hoping he becomes Hunter Renfrow.
So the other thing that needs to be brought into the equation that's not that there's really it's hard to calculate, but you had alluded to this earlier. One of you guys is that part of separation is scheme, whether you like it or not. If I am running an out route against a defender whose job it is to have outside leverage and defend the sideline, I am not going to separate as well versus if I'm running an in route against a defender whose job is to have outside leverage and defend the sideline. And if once you start introducing a lot of the more complicated aspects of football, things like play action and all this other random shit, right? The job of the offensive coordinator is to get fucking guys open, right? Like to make the offense easy for your players. When you start adding that in, separation kind of becomes a little bit more of a convoluted metric. How do you judge a guy on separation if, let's say, he's got a better offensive coordinator? Their team just happens to call better plays than average. All of a sudden, is separation a receiver stat, or is it an offensive coordinator stat?
True. A couple other things I'd like to add is one, shout out Seth Walder for this. He's an ESPN analytics guy for this graph. And he mentions it in his tweet too. Like, if I told you guys like Devontae Smith isn't like good at separating, like, would you? Like, I don't think that's expected. I would say people would be like, oh yeah, Devontae Smith, he's very good at getting separation, whereas Jamar Chase isn't. Which Jamar Chase is slightly better than Devontae Smith. I think when people are like, oh yeah, he's good at getting separation, I think everyone has a different definition in their mind as to what the separation
is. It's not quantified very well. I think that's a problem with the film community in general, is that a lot of these things aren't quantified very well. And as a lot of more people get into the space, you kind of just, not a lot of these people are watching every game of a player. I don't. I mean, it's too time consuming. So it's especially for receivers where the game is so nuanced and scheme is such a big impact on the routes a guy is running and the job they're being asked to do. It's a lot harder to quantify. That's why I like scouting running backs way more. I think running back is easy. To me, as a running back, do you execute the run scheme well, and do you break tackles? That's mainly what I fucking care about, right? Everything else, it's like, oh, well, he doesn't pass block well. I ain't getting points for pass pro. I'm sorry.
Isaiah Pacheco.
I've seen it 90,000 times that, fucking Christian McCaffrey, rookie year pass pro struggles. The next season, he's the highest graded pass pro player. Why do I give a fuck about pass pro? Okay, yeah, I'll give a little doc, like, oh shit, I'll give you a little X. But if you suck ass at breaking tackles, why is pass pro the deciding factor? And there's not a lot of that for receivers. It's like all this shit's important. Oh, you got to be able to run good routes. Oh, you have to be good at the catch point. Oh, you have to be good at this. Oh, you have to be good at that. Oh, but his scheme didn't make him do that. And it's like, well, shit, this thing is fucking hard. Like,
I don't know. I think if you just follow the formula of big junior wide receivers, like your hit rate's going to be pretty nice. It's going to be pretty good. Like, yeah, you're going to miss out on like the Elijah Moores of the world, and you'll end up.
Elijah Moore is not that small.
He doesn't qualify in my big. Elijah Moore's he's definitely under 6 foot.
There definitely are clusters of receivers.
He's 5'10".
You know,
he's 5'10", 179.
It's more. There are more clusters than X, Z, and slot, which is kind of the general convention for fantasy people. It's like you're either an X, you're either a Z, or you're a slot. And it's I imagine if I had to guess off the top of my head, there's either like 10 or 20 clusters of different types of receivers and how they're asked to play, what their role is for their offense, and what they're good at. And until that has an actual definition, I don't disagree with you that it's, especially when you're looking at some of the higher end players, it's probably better off just taking the guys with the best hit rates. The reason I disagree with you is that once you start getting into outlier territory, like after the top 15 picks, for you to have a successful pick, you basically have to be an outlier. Yeah. So at that point, why do I give a shit about conventional metrics when I'm already betting on an outlier to begin with?
Fair enough.
It's a good point. 15 is still
depends on the draft class. 100%.
Yeah,
depends on the draft class.
Because like T. Higgins and stuff was still a couple.
Oh yeah, that 2020 class. I mean, Brandon Ayuk was checking a ton of boxes.
He was kind of an outlier.
He was a second round pick.
He was a JUCO guy. Who he was an outlier, I'd say. All right. I mean, now we're kind of just conceptual. I don't know. Chad, are you interested in talks like this? I never know what people really want to hear about when they listen to us. I find this to be interesting, but I don't know if that's what people want to listen to. So I don't know. If you're watching us on YouTube right now or something, comment below. If you're on Spotify or something, hit us up on Twitter at 3rd and 20. Let us know what you want to hear from us, because
at 3rd and 20 underscore.
3rd and 20 underscore. Because I like conversations like this. I don't know if the casual, like the just everyday viewer likes stuff like this, but yeah.
You know what? Put in the chat what you think your favorite and least favorite segments from us are. I'm curious.
That's another good one too. Yeah, I like that. But with that, I don't think we have anything else to add. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, only a couple weeks away. College football is right around the corner too. And
college football is close.
I can't tell. That has to be a joke because Robert. Such a memer.
No, I think he's from the 3rd and 20 league. I think he was a Carolina guy.
That has to be a meme. There's no way he was there with DJ Moore.
We have
all the
person
memes he sent in the chat before. There's no way. That's a joke. That's 100%.
No. I would not be surprised if he was actually there and was, I don't know about ganging between the people from fighting, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was at the.
That's a joke. That is great, though.
That was a cool video. DJ Moore just being like, "Hey, knock it off!" Like, why are we fighting each other?
No, but if he was a real Chad like George Pickens, he'd be encouraging them to start swinging.
Yeah, he'd start squirting them with a water bottle.
Yeah. That just shows why DJ Moore's nothing better than a wide receiver too. He's a beta.
Oh, slander. He's not too. The Panthers and Patriots got into a fight today, actually.
I saw a hilarious joke from some beat reporter. He was just like, "Yeah, Mac Jones threw a touchdown, then went up to a guy and was like, 'Hold these,' and like grabbed himself."
Going with the Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
guys, I'm gonna be honest. I think it was last night I had a dream that I bought the Baker Mayfield Carolina blue jersey and just wore it on today's stream. No. It was like, and didn't even say anything. It was just like, "Sup, guys?"
Oh, dude, I had a dream that I traded Lounis Miles Sanders.
Did he give you like 3 first-round picks?
Oh, he gave such an overpay. I don't know what it was. I just know in the dream I traded Lounis Miles Sanders, which is fucking hilarious.
I wish Lounis was worse at trades, because my thing was like my thing.
No, Lounis doesn't. The thing is, Lounis doesn't actually trade unless he's just completely destroying the other team.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think people would make that same claim about you.
Lounis doesn't get your guy type of dude. If he really wants someone, he'll overpay for him. I respect Lounis's trade. I just think he sucks at it. All right. With that being said, this is enough from us. Thank you for any insight, what you think our favorite, least favorite segments are, all that jazz. Hit the like, subscribe button. Enjoy this pod without Lounis while you can. Peace out. Have a good one. Everyone. We love you guys.
Thanks, guys.